My name is Elia Cioccolato and I'm founder, influencer insider. And today we have amazing podcast with my co-host Madlena Kalinova and Robbie Chan.
Thanks for having me.
Madlena, please introduce to Robbie Chan.
Of course. Hi guys, my name is Madlena Kalinova and today we are welcoming Robbie Chan, a social media star, a content creator and founder of Lumiere Label. She's here to share her journey from dentistry to YouTube and TikTok sensation.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
you for coming.
I'm really honored and I'm excited to be surrounded by beautiful, powerful women, and it's going to be a great conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, why don't we start with telling our viewers a little bit about yourself, your little backstory, where you come from, and all those little juicy details. What brought you here today?
So I'm Australian. I'm now living in Miami full time. I've been in the US for the last nearly 5 years. And I had a very interesting start into social media. So my background is actually dentistry. So when I graduated, I went to work with my dad. He was my mentor in cosmetic dentistry, and he'd had this dental practice for 15 years. So when I went to work with him, basically he was like, okay, you take over the social media, the marketing. And at this point, it was the white pages, the phone book advertising. So we were kind of a little bit ahead of the game. I started posting before and afters of my patients. So fillings that I was doing, cosmetic dentistry, aesthetics, and it really just opened up so many different doors. We blew up the practice. And I realized, like, hold on, like, I really love the creativity that this allows. Like, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed creating, like, the before and afters. I enjoyed the creativity that dentistry allowed. And then as time kind of went on and the practice grew, people would kind of go past past that to me. And they would start asking me more questions about my traveling and my fashion. So it kind of organically turned into something that I had never planned for it to be.
Wow, sounds amazing.
That is so amazing, which actually kind of includes the next question that I have for you, which is how did you transition from dentistry to social media, and what motivated you to share your journey online? How about your personal journey online? What made you do that?
This was a huge change in my life. So when I was younger, I've talked about this before, and I guess it's part of my testimony that, like, my biggest goal with social media is to empower women. My goal is that I want to stand up and I want to speak to women and say, like, you are enough. Like, it's never too late to change or evolve and do something different. And the way that kind of started was when I was doing dentistry. I had actually been married to my childhood sweetheart, and after 5 years, he had an affair.
Oh no.
Yeah. And it shattered me. It shattered me because I had known him since I was 13. Like, you know, we got engaged when I was 19, married at 20. Like, we had done so much of life together.
You guys grew up together.
Yeah. And basically when this happened, when I found out about the affair, I was devastated. Like, I was totally devastated, and nothing kind of made sense anymore. So I stepped back from dentistry, sold the practice, started traveling a little bit, like, you know, just trying to cope, right? And then basically I just kept posting, and then it eventuated into becoming a full-blown career. So I've been really blessed to have a community that has grown with me over the last 5 years, and they've seen this, like, evolution of, like, Robbie, who was a wife and in dentistry, to now, you know, Robbie, who was, like, single and traveling, and
independent.
Yes. And now there's a whole new iteration of me now, you know, and I think that's really the power about social media, is that you don't have to just have one niche. Like, as you grow and you change and you evolve, your content can, and, like, as you're vulnerable, like, you'll realize, like, other people are walking through these things as well.
Wow,
that's
it's
so
amazing.
Thank you, inspiring.
God is good. Like, I'm really blessed to have the community that I have. Like, that's the best part about this job, is that it allows for these connections. Like, that is why this is the best job. It's not, you know, even the freedom that allows, it's like the actual connection and the people that you get to meet.
That's true. You can meet people through social media, and they can become your best friend.
It's true. It's true.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
And what was a significant challenge you faced early on, and how did you overcome it?
For me, this is a really interesting one, is the word identity. So much of my identity was wrapped up in my degrees. Like, I was young and I was, like, very successful by the world standards, right? I had studied business and accounting. I had double degree. I was an orofacial myologist. I had dentistry, had a dental practice, like, all these things, married at a young age. And then when those things, like, fell away, I didn't kind of know who I was. And I think what I would say to anybody who's wanting to get into this space, anyone who's into this space, if you put your identity into the likes and the, you know, the partnerships and the events and all of those things, like you're going to be swayed. So that was a really big thing when I first stepped away, because like my identity was like, I'm successful, I'm Robbie who's done all of this. And then when I stepped into this career, like now I'm a very small fish, and people will be like, well, what do you do? And like I was almost like embarrassed to say, oh, I'm a creator. So I would be like, well, I used to do dentistry. Like I would have to like, you know, do that. And like that comes from ego, right? So I would say that was a big challenge, was like overcoming identity crisis and understanding like my validity, my identity doesn't come from these things. It comes from like who God is and who he says that I am.
It's also your role, right? You can play in life many roles, but you don't have to be defined by one. And it's very shameful, going back to what you just said, that some creators are really put down, and people used to think of creators like, oh, really, you're an influencer? Yeah, that's a job, and it actually takes a lot of work, and
it's true.
Some self-discovery happened here, and she turned her struggles into her success. So good for you.
I mean, that's a huge misconception that influencers, I mean, it's not just influencers, it's beautiful women, right, are unintelligent. And I hate that misconception, because the thing is like I'm surrounded by women right now who, like, incredible business owners. Like people look at them and they see like, you know, this flashy lifestyle. I'm like, no, these women worked their butts off and they showed up, and like you don't see all of the work that goes in behind the scenes. And yeah, it's been really inspiring for me that the people, my community that I'm around, are like, some of them are just like badass women. Can I say that on the podcast?
Yes, they're badass women.
They are, and it's incredible. And like that's what I love about this space, is like when you get around the right people, they're going to bring you up with them. And I think that's really cool. And I hate that misconception.
Yes, let's break the misconceptions, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So my next question is, what were some of your major milestones in building your Lumiere label brand, and how did you capitalize on them?
So Lumiere label, you guys, is my sunglasses label. We launched last year, and it's really unique. So basically, I had always had a passion for fashion. Like I love the beauty industry, I love styling, and I love like the way that it empowers people to step into their best, most confident selves. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to develop a product, and I wanted it to solve a problem, and I wanted it to be different. So that's hence where Lumiere label was born. So it's a blue light glass, and it has little magnets on it, and you can clip on different frames. So it's like very unique. And yeah, I had the idea, and I wanted to solve a problem, and
so amazing.
It's been received really well. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
And how have you effectively monetized your social media presence, both on TikTok and YouTube? Or
So I think really before, like we all like, you know, look at brand deals and we see all these influencers posting these things. Before any of that, I think it's about building a community. Because when a community trusts you and you recommend a genuine product that actually aligns with you, then it's going to align with them. So I think that's where it comes from. Like I think like we face things the wrong way, and we're like, I want to make this much money, how can I do that? Like I say, like, don't work that way. Like start like building a community, build a skill, like develop that, you know, and I think the rest will come with that.
And do you remember your first paid collaboration?
I do. It was with Bali Body, which is an Australian tan. And yeah, I posted it on the beach, and I remember like, I never knew you could make money from social media. For me, it was a hobby. And you know, I was doing dentistry and I was like traveling, and I remember the first time I ever got a free hotel. And I was like, this is crazy. I was like, is this what it feels like to be a baller? Like,
and then all the dinners with it and all the events that they invite you to, so much fun.
And like that's the cool thing, is like it does open doors and it allows for you to grow with it, you know. That's the really cool thing about social media, is that it can connect people around the world, and you know, just it's very inspiring. I'm grateful to be in this community.
It's amazing. And did it also open up your creative side a little bit?
Absolutely. So I would say that I've always been a very creative person. Like that's why I love dentistry. Like I loved like making things aesthetic. I loved like seeing people smile. Like I've always loved creativity, but actually for the first time in 5 years of doing this full time, I felt really burnt out in the last 6 months.
Oh, no.
To the point where I'm like, I had to step back a little bit and just slow down a little bit. And I think when you're creating from a space of burnout, it doesn't work. Like it doesn't work. And I had to remind myself that it's so often we want to show up for an algorithm, we want to post because we feel like we have to post because otherwise we're not going to be relevant, because there's so many young, beautiful girls who are coming up, and it's like this fear that is put on you, and we put it on ourselves, and it's exhausting. It's an exhausting place to live from. And you guys have all heard the saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
I was going to say the same thing.
You can't.
It's
And,
so true.
and I was trying to do that. And there's a quote, I'm not going to say it exactly correctly, but Rick Rubin, he speaks about like when you're creating art, create it for yourself. Like you are the audience. And when you try to create it for other people, it doesn't translate as well. So I had that point coming out of burnout where I had to like have a hard conversation with myself and be like stop. Just be still for a second. Like, don't worry about the algorithm. Don't worry about these things, and actually get back to your real, genuine, creative side.
It's so amazing. Thank you, and so inspiring. And one more question I wanted to ask: is there anything that we didn't ask you today that you wanted to talk about? Is there anything we're missing?
No, I think you guys have an incredible podcast. I think the most powerful thing that I really want people to take out of this, who's in the space or wanting to get into the space, is just like know what your identity is. Like it's such an important thing. Like going back to the AI that's coming in and all these editing apps that like will make your legs longer and your waist smaller, and your 8-year-olds using FaceApp.
It's so crazy.
Like I think my main messaging is that like, you know, that's not real life. If you focus on that, like it's going to destroy your soul, and it's just not worth it. It comes at a cost that's too high. So
it's also time consuming.
And what do you think what's happening in the future with social media?
Oh, I think there's going to be a big shift. I think we're already in it right now. I think there's going to be, you've seen the Ray-Ban, the Meta glasses. Have you seen those? So they have little cameras on them, and you can live stream. So people now can see from my vantage point what it is that I'm seeing. You know, obviously we've seen all the Apple.
The Apple ones, yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be
a
big shift. I think you're going to virtually be able to meet with different creators. Like we can be sitting in a room. You guys can right now be sitting with us here live, and we can be having this conversation together. So I think there's going to be a lot of beauty that comes with it. But I think there's going to be less separation between reality and, you know, this world too. I think already they're bleeding together. So, you know, if you look around, you're walking around, everyone's on their phones and no one looks up.
That's so true.
It's going to like escalate even more, you
but
know?
I think that some of the brands will probably try to keep it connected to their people with removing phones. I've seen some companies that do team meetings where they put all the phones in a bag and they just connect. I think that connection will become much more valuable in a way, because we're going to be so removed. I really hope that we learn from all this and we come back to backwards to our normal interaction, because it's so nice to meet you today in real life. You're such a sunshine, a ray of sunshine, you know. It's so special.
Thank you.
And what kind of advice maybe you give for people who just wanted to start their journey in social media? Maybe
I would say just start. Like don't be so fearful. And I myself still fall into the trap where I'm like, there's days where I want to film something, and again, I've spoken about it earlier today. I'm like, something that's been a big struggle for me is my skin. Like, and I get like when I'm filming and I'm like, I have cystic acne, and I'm like, just stop, just get out of your head and just post it. I'm not gonna lie, I have probably over 200 drafts on my TikTok just sitting there, videos that I filmed and I never posted. And I saw that the other day and I was like, I wonder what position I would be in right now if I had just posted them. Because who knows, like maybe they would have resonated with somebody. Maybe they didn't go viral, but maybe another girl who was a young girl who was like, oh, like, you know, oh, she's got bad skin, or she's talking about it, and like maybe that is normal and it is okay, and like maybe I don't need to use FaceApp to like edit it out, you know? Like I would say that's a big part of it. Just do it. Like get out of your head, stop being scared of people.
And isn't it funny how your perspective changes with time? When you sometimes, it happens to me, I don't know if it happens to you, when you shoot something and you're like, oh, this doesn't look good, I don't want to post it. And then a year later, you're like, oh my God, it looks amazing.
It was so amazing before.
Yes. It's so true. I was like, damn, I got to get back to that.
Well, you can always post it and say TBT. What was I thinking? Why did I do this?
I know, but that just becomes from like, and that's us in our head, and it's an exhausting place to be. Stop overthinking it. Something that I also do, like I used to spend so long, like I would curate the perfect photo and then I would edit it. And now I'm like, it's exhausting. And it's like, that's hours and time and like planning the perfect feed. I'm like, For what? Like, just post it. Don't overthink it. Like, there has to be something authentic and genuine in it. It makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Well,
Amazing.
thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
very
your
much.
light and your soul with us.
Yeah.
I feel so connected to you after one time that we have met, and you're such
Yeah,
such
she's
an
such
inspiration.
inspiration,
And so
amazing
beautiful.
girl.
There's nothing
Exactly.
wrong with nothing.
Inside
your
and
face
out.
is beautiful. Inside is better even than the outside. So
Thank you for
thank
having
you.
me.
I don't know if you had any other questions. I'm sorry.
No, I think we're doing good.
This was great.
Thank you very
You're
much.
so amazing.
Thank you. I had a really great time. Appreciate it.
Us
Thank
too.
you. Snapchat is now my highest monetized platform.
How do you approach serving different segments of your audience, from budget to luxury fashion?
It's not just about the pieces, it's how you wear it and how you style it.
How do you handle criticism?
You know, this is the guy. Like, this is the guy. So now when I'm getting these nasty comments, I'm like, you know what? Like, that's the guy from the plane. Don't worry about it, because your value does not come from you know, people's perceptions of you. Your value comes from like who you are and who God says you are.
Could you walk us through your content creation process from idea generation to publishing?
Taking the knowledge and the education that I had, and now I'm translating it into something different, which I'm really excited about.